Boker Tov, good morning. Today is Friday, January 14th, Erev Shabbat Beshalach, Erev Shabbat Shira. Shabbat Shira, so named because we read and sing out loud the Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea. What is this song? What's the nature of this song? Is it Hallel? Is it praise of God? Or is it Hodaya? Or is it Thanksgiving? What's the difference? We'll see. I'll offer one suggestion or two, something that I heard from Moshe Lichtenstein, and then take it a little further with you. So where does the Shirah begin? We know where it begins, and I think this is part of the answer to the question. The Shirah begins with Az Yashir Moshe, and then Moshe is saying, right, with V'nei Yisrael Shirah Hazot, right, right, or even more. Hashem, Ashira Ladonai Kigo Ga'a Sus V'Roch Abayam. I will sing to the Lord, for He has triumphed gloriously. Horse and rider He has hurled into the sea. That's the beginning. Here's a nice format in the Siddur that we'll be using in the new sanctuary, God willing. That's the format. Where does it end? So, looking on the next page, where does it end? Does it end here? Or does it end here? Does it end Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed? God will reign, the Lord will reign forever and all time. Which would have us in the end believe and reinforce the notion this is primarily a Shirah, primarily a song of thanksgiving to God about all that God has wrought, and focusing on the downfall of the Egyptians and God's power and might. It's talked about throughout the Shirah. That would seem to reinforce that notion that this is only and primarily a Hallel, or as the Ibn Ezra suggests, is it the next line as well? Kivasus paro b'bichro v'harshav hayam v'yashav Adonai aleichem et mei hayam u'v'nei Yisrael hachu b'yavasha b'toch hayam. That sentence seems to be sort of a summary sentence of the events that were described before the Shirah, and then the Shirah sings them. When Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and riders went into the sea, the Lord brought the waters of the sea back over them, but the Israelites walked on dry land through the sea. So that's, according to the first opinion, is not part of the Shirah. It's just a review. But says the Ibn Ezra, it's part of the Shirah. And if that's the case, if it's part of the Shirah, it would seem, as Rav Moshe Lichtenstein suggests, it would seem to support the notion that this is also about gratitude, because we shift away from thinking about the grand, about what the Lord has wrought and those guys over there, and rather to ourselves, to what we've experienced, how we have benefited and survived the threat thanks to God. But it's about gratitude to Hashem, gratitude, and that is such an important component for us to have in the Shirah, to have in our lives. So much so that if it's part of the Shirah, we have it every single day. We have the mitzvah to sing the Shirat Hayam, and it's not only there, but of course it's also in the Amidah, the daily, the thrice daily prayer, the Shmona Esrei Brachos. Hoda'ah is a very significant part. And I want to tell you something. I've come to realize that I misunderstood the role of Hoda'ah in that process. The Torah, the Shemona Esrei is in three sections. Section number 1, Shevach, praise of God. Those first three brachot, ending in Hakel Hakadosh, that God is the holy God. Then we have Bakashot in the center, a whole series of requests that we make of God for forgiveness and for health and for wisdom and for wealth and for redemption and for Jerusalem and for all of our prayers to be answered, ending with the Shema Kalenu Shomea Tefillah. And then the third part of the Amidah begins with Ritzei to the end, where we give thanks to God. And I've always been taught, and I've always let that be my way of thinking about it, and I think it's wrong, that, well, this is how you're supposed to make a request from anybody. You start by, look, this is running and say, do this for me, give that to me. You start by saying all the things that, I recognize what you've done and your capacity to do. That's that first part of Shevach. And then I make my request, and then I'm most grateful to you That's the only menschlich way to make a request is by saying how grateful and appreciative, etc., etc. That is true, but I don't think that's the role. The role of Modim Anachnu Lach in the Amida is to be a counterpoint to Bakasha. Because what is Bakasha? What are all those requests that we're reciting? We're laying before God everything that's not good in our lives or in the world. We have so much bad stuff. We have such stupid people in the world, and we have illness in the world, and we have poverty in the world, and we have fighting in the world, and we are desperate for redemption, and we need all these things, and it's a real laundry list of desperately important things. And if we would just finish by saying, "Oi, vavoy, look at all these things, Rabbanu Shalom, my life, our life is horrible and rotten and terrible," and then we say, "And please help us," and then we step, Oseh Shalom b'Ramav, we Aseh Shalom. That would be a terrible way to be, and it's not really a perspective on life that we are meant to have. We recognize everything that's desperately needed in this world. And at the same time, we say, oh my God, I also know what I have in my life. Modim anachnu lach, shatahu Adonai Eloheinu v'lehei avotenu l'olam va'ed. We give thanks to you, God, for the following. Al chayenu hamusurim biyadecha, v'al nishmotenu hapekudot lach. For our lives which are entrusted into your hands, for our souls which are placed in your charge, anisecha shebachol yom imanu, v'anifotecha v'totecha shebachol eit ever v'katzarayim. Your miracles which are with us every day, and your wonders and favors at all times, evening, morning, and midday. Hatov kilo chalu rachamecha, ramachem kilo tamu chasadecha, milam kivinu lach. Yes, this is about God, but it's also about ourselves. And we say, I have all this. I do have so much that I am thankful for, and so much to be thankful for. And I don't, this is not about one of these, attempts to say, ignore your tzaras, and just, but, after all, you have these good things. It's not, that's not a helpful way to be. But my experience in working with other people, and my experience for myself is that I need to regroup and reframe after I've am mindful of all that is troubling and problematic in my life, to be able to say, and yet, that doesn't define the entirety of my life. And I have much which is good in my life. My life itself, all that I do have around me, is simply meant to be an internal balance point. No one should come along and give you the piety about that, but you need to do that work. I need to do that work. You need to do that work. And when you do so, then you actually recognize how much of life's troubles you are able to handle that you didn't think you could handle, because you also recognize it's not the totality of mine. Even with the illness, and even with the struggles and all the struggles that are there, I have so much that I am thankful for in my life. That's the practice of gratitude that you'll find that others, in mindfulness practices, and it's all there. It's true. It's true. And it comes from Shirat Hayam, if you add that last sentence in, and it's part of our thrice daily prayer service. When next time you say Modim Anachnu Lach, really stop and give thanks for all of that after the laundry list of bakashot. You come to realize the blessings of life, the totality of life, and find yourself in a better way, and able to share those blessings more readily with others. Wishing you a Shabbat Shira Shalom.